Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the latest podcast. We're joined today by Hannah, who is one of our newly certified clients. If you want to just introduce yourself, Hannah.
Yeah, I'm Hannah France. I work for Blue Machinery Group. We're a material handling distributor and engineering company. And we have recently, in September, received 3 of our ISO accreditations.
Yeah, that was plus the SSIP. So you got the 9001, the 14,001, 45,001 with SSIP. You went all in.
We did.
All in. Very brave, very brave. So today we're just going to have a little chat about your experiences on that journey, why you went down that route and things like that, really. So it's be quite daunting for people, I think. It's one of the unknown things, isn't it, really?
It can. I think a lot of it feels like a bit of a foreign language if it's not something you've worked with before. Trying to communicate what the ISOs mean to people who've not come across them before is quite difficult at times.
Yeah, definitely. Because you've got experience before, haven't you?
Yeah, so I was involved with ISOs at a previous company that I worked for, so was responsible for maintaining those. So I do understand the language and very familiar with what's expected, but it was a completely new thing to a lot of the people within the business.
Like I say, it can be quite daunting when they don't know what to expect. Definitely. So when did you kind of start the journey? So you're certified in September. Obviously, got your final certification.
We were certified in September. Realistically, we've been talking about the ISO since I joined the business back in 2021. But we've been doing a lot of background work to try and establish and implement processes, try and make them work for us. So we didn't really start until probably end of 2023. We started having conversations with Orva. And then it was early 24 that we sort of really rolled out officially rolled out the process. And we had Orva in April to do our stage 1 gap analysis. And then obviously back in September to do the stage 2.
Yeah. I suppose just put a bit of context. You're quite a large organisation, aren't you? So
we are. We've probably got around 200.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's over multiple sites as well, is that?
Yeah, we had Orva visited our site at our Spares site, which is in Warrington, our central site, which is in Northwich, and our Scotland site in Stirling.
Yeah. So it's quite a task. So you kind of 2023. So about a year, was it roughly?
Yeah, I'd say a year. Yeah. We've been sort of moving towards it more seriously. Yeah.
Yeah. So what you said, you started talking about it since 2021. So what was the reason for the delays? Is it just COVID?
Well, I came into the business in April 2021, and there was already a really good foundation, lots and lots of documentation in place. But it was trying to sort of share that documentation and get engagement from staff that we had to work on a little bit. So we've massively updated our documentation. We've taken a lot of it digital so that it's more accessible to staff. We've really had sort of engagement from the team. We set up committees. We made sure we had in-person toolbox talks. So we've had a lot more engagement from staff over the last 3 years, which has allowed us to sort of move towards this.
Right. Okay. So there's a lot of preparation involved, obviously. Yeah. Okay. Been quite a long journey.
It has.
Yeah.
Got the
good to finally get it. Yeah, good to finally get it, isn't it? Yeah, just good achievement. So what were the key things that needed to change in the organisation? What sort of bits did you have to sort of focus on that you found were lacking, really?
I think engagement was a key one. I think particularly from the health and safety side of things, I think health and safety often seems like an obstacle to people, and it really shouldn't be that. We should be looking at the people who we work with as facilitators of health and safety rather than people who are causing issues. So we quite early on in 2021 set up committees, and we set up in-person toolbox talks to make sure that staff got the opportunity to have their say. If we were rolling out processes or we were rolling out things like risk assessments, they had opportunity to give feedback. So that was really important, and it kind of gave everybody a little bit more ownership of health and safety. I think quality-wise, we were already doing a huge amount of that already. We've got a lot of digital systems. We use SAP, we use things like fast-filled forms. So there's already really good traceability in terms of our processes. And then the environmental side, I think that's one we've kind of, that's been a more recent one. And I think it's something that businesses are having to look at a lot more at the moment when we're seeing tenders come through or pre-qualification questionnaires. There is significantly more questions based around what we're doing environmentally than there ever has been previously. So that was kind of a wagon we had to get onto, and we wanted to do it sort of ahead of the curve.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing a lot of growth in the environmental, and ESG is the big buzzword at the moment.
Yeah.
It's obviously everyone's, like you say, jumping on the bandwagon, which is a good thing, to be honest. Yeah, it is a good thing. So you're sort of saying the 9001 system was pretty good already. Health and safety was sort of there, but needed a bit better. And environmental.
Yeah, we had some really good foundations. It was just building on them, and it was getting the value out of things as well. I think, before I came into the business, a lot of documentation was put in place, which was really great, but it was getting people to use it and see the value in it, and us edit it and amend it and change it and adapt it to suit people. We have a lot of remote staff, so we have engineers who are out on the road, and we have sales staff who are out on the road, and giving them a Word document's not always going to be the right thing to do. So a lot of our sort of forms have gone on to FastField, which is like an app-based form system, so that the engineers can access those forms, whether they're on a quarry or in the office or in the yard. So we've just made it that bit more accessible to people, which has helped with engagement.
Okay. Was that sort of a suggestion from the management team or the people on the road? How did that come about? Because it is a big thing when people are on the road, trying to keep them engaged and communicate with them.
Yeah, I think, when you roll something out, you do get a bit of resistance from time to time, particularly with new things and particularly when we're trying to change things. So if we were, rolling out a new bit of documentation that was difficult for the guys to access, they were never going to uptake it as much as if they could get onto it easily and use it and have a play around with it. We already had FastFields for other things in the background. So, we sort of felt like we could utilize it a lot more. And since then, pretty much all of our health and safety forms have gone on to FastField. So whether it's reporting an accident, whether it's doing a point of work risk assessment, whether it's doing equipment checks in the warehouse, they're all now on that app-based form system, which makes them so much easier to complete.
Yeah, so it's actually brought benefits really to streamline your system by the sound of it.
It has, and FastFields is very intelligent. You can sort of set up rules, you can get things saved into certain folders. So it cuts down the admin a little bit as well. And yeah, I get to see what the guys are seeing on site. Previously, we'd use like paper point of work risk assessment forms, which are fine. It means that the point of work risk assessments were being done, but actually the results of those risk assessments weren't being seen for maybe weeks, because they were going in the back of the engineer's van and then being brought to us in a stack a few weeks later. Whereas now we see them immediately. So if there's a problem on that site, we can address that, which is great.
Excellent. So why go for all three at the same time? Some people just do one and then add another one a couple of years later.
Punishment, I think they all fit together really nicely. There's obviously similarities across the three standards, but I think we were sort of in the mindset that if we were going to do one, we may as well do all three. And I think we were introducing things to people, so it made sense to kind of introduce lots of things and get everybody to sort of take ownership of these three areas that we were going for, and seeing how we can use them to benefit the business internally. And I think, when we initially looked at getting all three ISOs, there's obviously massive benefits to us externally in getting these. It helps us with tenders and things like that. But we were really, really conscious that we wanted the internal benefits to outweigh the external ones. And we sort of felt that doing all three at the same time, we were going to put ourselves some really good foundations in place to really improve as a business. And I do think they tie nicely together as well.
Yeah, no, I think you're quite right. I mean, it's a big task, especially when you're a large organisation. So you've done a fantastic job, really. But yeah, people don't like change, do they? So sometimes doing one big change at the same time kind of gets over that initial impact, doesn't it? So
yeah, well, I think to be honest, when we were developing documentation initially, you don't necessarily get the engagement that you want to see, but when you start involving people in it, particularly things like the non-conformance process, which was quite new to everybody, we sort of had key members of staff involved in looking at that and really sort of taking some value away from it, and actually realising that if we start recording these non-conformances and start trying to solve the bigger problems rather than firefighting with the smaller problems, it's going to really benefit them in the long term. So I think it was trying to get people to see, even if they're seeing value in a couple of documents or a couple of forms, rather than seeing value in the whole system, because it is a big system. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, it kind of gets them on board a little bit easier, I suppose, when they start seeing benefits to them as an employee.
And not giving people something as a finished product as well. So we'd, develop a form or we'd develop a process and say, right, this is what we're thinking. Can you give your input, or does this not work? And why does it not work? Ensuring people have got ownership of things is really important.
Yeah, that's good. Was there some resistance from people? Or was
I think there always is a little bit of resistance, isn't there? Change is difficult, and I think everyone's got their own jobs to do. Everyone's very, very busy and focused on doing a great job of their particular role. So, we had to try and introduce these things in a way that was, not distracting from that. But a lot of it does help with people's roles and eventually should streamline things and should make things slightly easier, particularly with things like the non-conformance process.
Yeah, definitely. With all these systems, you need a lot of management sort of buy-in and input. If they're not concerned about it, then it's very hard to implement. So it sounds like you had quite a lot of management support.
We did. Fortunately, senior management buy-in was really, really strong, and we had a few initial meetings with Paula, where we had quite a few members of the senior management team come and sit on a Teams call with her, and she was great at explaining what the process is and what these ISOs are about, because as I said at the start, it does feel like a foreign language sometimes if you're not familiar with it, and what the real benefits would be to us as a business. And everyone really bought into that. I think, initially there was that thing of, oh gosh, this is going to be a huge amount of work, but it was reassuring to know that actually a lot of the work we'd already done. We'd already established a lot of processes. We had a lot of documentation in place, had a lot of traceability in terms of our quality processes because of the systems that we used. So it was just adding to that and making them a bit more valuable and a bit more sort of widespread across the business. But yeah, senior management buy-in's been really strong throughout, and we've had a really good number of senior management at the management reviews, of which we've done 2 this year. So we did 1 in January, which was via Teams, and then we did 1 in July where everybody came to our central office in Northwich. We all sat around a table, looked through our processes, and we looked through some of our key documentation. We fed back on the internal audits that we'd done that far. And it was a really good opportunity for senior management to get sort of stuck in with developing some of the things that we're putting in place.
So they see the benefits? Are they? They're kind of, sounds like they're quite enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the really important thing from senior management is that the focus has been on the internal benefits rather than the external ones. I think it's very easy to look at the external ones because they're going to make us more money ultimately if we're winning tenders because of them. But what we really wanted to do was improve as a business, improve at protecting our staff, improve at protecting the environment, and make sure we're, internally providing the best service that we can do, whether that's externally to our customers or internally between departments. So the focus has been very much internal, and the external benefits are almost like an added bonus, really.
That's good. From my personal experience, a lot of people have to get the standards, like say for tenders and things like that. But if they actually embrace it, there's huge benefits to it. So instead of thinking of it as a tick box exercise and gets us the certificate and we can get contracts and tenders, embrace it. It will actually add benefits to the business, really.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Definitely. sort of got involved in the implementation? Because obviously you got a lot of people, so I'm assuming it wasn't just yourself. You had a couple of people helping you.
Yeah, we've had people sort of from each branch helping out. I think I've dragged a few unwilling victims in who are now flying the ISO flag, fortunately. But we've obviously had an internal audit team as well who have been great. So we've sort of assigned someone from each of our branches to be an internal auditor. So they've done a fantastic job, particularly because it's been so new to them. So we use Fastfield again for writing our audit programs, and all the questions were set out for them, so they couldn't really go too far wrong. And they had my support throughout as well. I think they've quite enjoyed that. They've almost seen the sort of behind the scenes of the business and looked at areas that they wouldn't necessarily have looked at previous. So they've done a fantastic job of that. And then we also have committees around the group as well who have, had eyes on some of our key bits of documentation and have been able to give their input should they wish. And then we've, anyone who's shown a willing has been pulled in at some point to give some feedback. And most people have been, really good at giving positive feedback and helping to shape the processes and forms that we have and getting on board, which it's been good.
Yeah, yes, you can tell in companies sometimes there can be some resistance. I don't think they don't want to do it. I think it's the unknown and the fear that how do I do audits and things like that? What's involved? But you're right, it is a good way of learning about your own business. And I see some people will, if they're from an office environment, they'll tend to go out on site to audit that, and it helps them in their own jobs, really. Yeah. So did they have to go on training? Did you implement training for people?
Sort of a bit of familiarisation training that I've audited before, and I co-audited for this. I'm obviously not allowed to officially audit because I'm too biased, but I co-audited so that we had a bit of a reference point as well. So I sat down with all the auditors at the start of the year. We went through the full programme. We sort of talked about, the types of conversations that people needed to have. We showed them the types of questions. We also went through the integrated management system because it's so big that finding the documentation sometimes can be quite difficult. So we went through that, but throughout the process, we've had it sort of scheduled throughout the year. So I know when the guys are auditing to sort of be on hand to answer any questions if needed. But we've really encouraged them to go and ask the questions of other people in the business. Because, chances are they'll look at a question and they might not be able to answer it, but somebody else probably will be able to. And I think that's the key thing, trying to get, as many different conversations going as possible.
Yeah. Have you had more, since being certified, have you had more people sort of volunteer for things, or was your team sort of the same?
I think everyone's having a little bit of a rest now. I think everyone's, I think, it's been really positive. A lot of the people who've got involved are now hook, line and sinker for it all, and are going to continue with, the things that we've put in place. We've done a huge amount more site visits recently with some of the service team and me going out as well, which has been great because the engineers have been able to see us and they've been able to talk about any challenges that they've got. They've been able to talk about their general well-being. We've been able to look at the documentation that they do. So, so much of this stuff is being carried forward and built on. And we keep saying, any meeting we have where we talk about the ISO success, we keep saying that this is a foundation, it's not a destination. So we need to keep building on it. We've got to keep moving forward. And we've got a great foundation that we've built. And obviously the ISO success shows that, but we're very keen to keep pushing it forward and keep improving.
I think that's an important part, actually. Some people put the system in and sort of leave it, and I think there's a bit of nervousness sometimes, and that was certified, we can't change it. But I think it's very important the more you use the system, you sort of change it, adapt it and tweak it, as necessary. It's a big part of it.
Yeah,
it's very important.
Absolutely.
So what are some of the benefits you've gained so far?
I think engagement is a big one, and I think visibility is also a big one. So engagement has gone up massively, I would say, in the last year. We already, like I said, had committees in place. We had in-person toolbox talks, but especially using fast field forms as well to get input from the guys that are out on site has really helped us. We get to see a lot more information from our engineers, which we can then use to help protect them and to help protect other parties. And it helps us develop our documentation as well. Things like our RAMs, if they spot something out on site, they can feed that back to us via the point of work risk assessments that they're doing. And yeah, I think engagement's been really, really strong. I think people have, takes a few years, doesn't it, to sort of get through change, and we have been changing, I would say, rapidly since 2021, and it feels like a lot of it is now sort of bedding in and people are really getting it, which is positive, because it does take time. And like I say, people are all focused on the job that they've got to do. Our engineers have got to go and fix machines at the end of the day. that is their job. And this, I think, initially felt like an add-on, whereas now it feels like it's fully integrated into their role. And same for the other people who are dealing with the ISO processes. And then visibility as well. I think the whole thing we were doing before was around, we're very, very good at problem solving. That's what we do as a business. But I think there was a lot of firefighting happening. Whereas now we're trying to, especially through the non-conformance process, we're trying to look at root causes of things, and we're getting a lot more visibility on issues that we have because people are reporting them, and we're, putting them into logs. We're seeing trends so that we've got the information where we can go back and have a look, see what the root cause might have been and try and solve that, rather than trying to solve all the individual problems, which takes a lot of time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're not going to change everything straight away. You're not going to fix everything. It's getting some of those big hitters and things like that.
Yeah. I think the benefit we've had as well is that, like I say, this has been going on for the best part of 3 years now, and there's been a huge amount of commitment from everybody across the group, really. And I think sometimes plugging away at trying to get things implemented, and people are using documentation, and everyone's trying to improve things, and you don't often stop and sort of take stock of what you've achieved.
Yeah.
And this was a really nice point for us to do that. And I think everyone, whilst they were quite nervous about the audits, I think everyone felt a real sense of achievement once we got to the end of that week. Even before we'd been told we got them, we sort of thought, right, we've got ourselves through this. And that's down to every single person's hard work and every single person's commitment to the processes and all the rest of it that we've been doing. So it's been nice to have that.
It's a huge achievement, especially for the size and complexity of your business and things like that. It's massive. So yeah, it can never happen with one person.
Absolutely not.
It needs everyone getting involved.
It does.
Yeah, definitely. So did you have a big celebration when you finally got your certificates, or is everyone just like, oh?
We are gonna have one at some point. I think we're into Christmas do territory at the moment, so we've got a few Christmas do's coming up. We've put some celebratory posts out on our socials, and I'm sure we will do something to sort of mark it. Yeah, we're very much into Christmas do territory now.
Yeah. So is it actually, might be early days, has it actually helped you get some new work so far? Obviously, what you're...
Not that I'm aware of at the moment, or it may well have done, but I wouldn't particularly be aware of that. But I know for a fact it has helped a lot of people with filling out tenders. So we have some people around the business who are probably more responsible than anyone else for completing tenders, and they are arduous at times and really, really time consuming. And often one of the first questions you get asked is, have you got your ISOs? And if you have got your ISOs and you can tick that box, you move on about 20 questions, which is always nice. So yeah, I think, it's a matter of time. We're good at winning business. We do a lot of repeat business. Our customers really trust in what we do, but this is just that added bit of reassurance as well, and peace of mind for our customers that we are excelling in these 3 areas. So yeah, those tenders, when they're coming through, we'll be aiming to pick up the business off the back of them.
Yeah, it takes time. So yeah, Yeah, especially what you're doing, it can take 6-12 months really, really for tenders to come to fruition, can't they? So what would you say was the hardest part of the implementation process? Was there one bit that was just took so much effort and time to get right?
I think the month leading up to the stage 2 was quite stressful for everybody. I think, it was fear of the unknown, I think, for a lot of people. Making sure we were sort of belt and braces on everything. Like we were already there quite comfortably, I think, but it's that last minute panic from everyone to sort of think, is everyone aware of this? Are we happy we've got really good examples that we can show the auditors of different things that we've been doing? Have we got any gaps that we need to address before that stage? And we were talking about it very frequently in toolbox talks and things like that, and everybody knew it was happening. I think we had a lot of people book in some annual leave at that point.
It's funny that.
But yeah, I think it was just that apprehension, that fear of the unknown, and just making sure that we were super, super prepared, because we didn't want to just sort of coast through it. We wanted to do really well. So yeah, we spent a lot of time talking to individuals about what to expect if an auditor was to sit with them, and we kind of went down the route of answer questions directly, don't expand too much, you don't need to. But I think when it actually came to it, everybody had so many good things that they wanted to talk about that they were sort of chewing the auditor's ears off, which is great, because everyone was quite proud of what they were able to share and all the good things that they've been doing and how these processes have been implemented around their role. So yeah, our keep it brief conversation went out the window pretty quickly. But that's
don't offer too much. But yeah, that is a good thing. We find when we're auditing, if people are very sort of open and sharing things, that's actually a positive. Yeah, they can sometimes share a bit too much, but it makes us feel that actually this is a good system. People are proud of it. They want to do it right. They care about it. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah. I think most of the people who were involved during audit week and who spoke to the auditors actually really enjoyed it. I think it's that thing of taking stock of how well you've done. People don't often get to speak about all the things that they've implemented, all the things they've been involved in and how it's working for them, where they really got that opportunity during audit week to sort of show off a little bit, which I think is a nice thing to do on occasion.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so the month running up to it was probably the most stressful, and then audit week, obviously it was a lot. It's a lot to get through in a week, but it was enjoyable, and Paula and the team really put everybody at ease. They were so friendly and so personable with everybody. I don't think anybody felt that they couldn't share, obviously. So it was a stressful week, but a very pleasant week at the same time. And I think as we were going through it and we could see we were getting no non-conformances, we were sort of, right, we've got to get through this whole week now and not get a single non-conformance. We wanted to keep our clean sheet.
Yeah. So did you get any findings?
No, we didn't. We got opportunities for improvement, which you always want because that's stuff you can work with, but we didn't get any non-conformances, which I believe is quite rare.
That's especially for the size and complexity of what you're doing. That is, that's tremendous, really, because it was like a 20-day audit, wasn't it? I think
it was, yeah,
in total. So to have 0 findings, that's incredible, really. Yeah, so that's definitely something to be proud of.
Yeah, absolutely,
definitely. Well done. That is good. So what's sort of next? Are there big sort of changes coming that you're planning? Because obviously your first surveillance, it's not for a little while yet. I think it's around July time, I think I looked. So
so it'll be, I think our southern branch will be being audited during the July audit. So making sure they're prepared for that, and giving them the same reassurance that everybody else has had. But it's nice that we've kind of got the blueprint for it now, that we've been there and done that, and we know what to expect, and we can share that with them. And they're very prepared. They're, everybody's been in the same boat in terms of, all the stuff we've put in place has been group wide. So they are ready. It's just, offering that extra bit of reassurance. And yeah, I think we now try and use this as a bit of a springboard, really, for trying to continue to improve health and safety, which is my main area of focus. And then, keep looking after the quality processes, keep improving on them, and look at what we can do from the environmental side moving forward, because I do think that's going to be a very, very big area, particularly with the types of companies that we are working with. There's a lot of opportunity there for sort of moving the environmental thing forward from a health and safety point of view, which I said, is my main focus area. We do such good things as a business, and we really want to try and roll them out further. We want to try and benefit our wider industry as much as possible. We want to, give people access to resources so that they can help their own staff, because we are very reliant on, the sites that we go to being safe as well, because we're sending our engineers out into quarrying environments and waste recycling environments. So whatever we can do to support, our customers as well with health and safety, I think is a positive thing. So, trying to have that bit of outreach is something we want to build on.
Yeah, and they'll appreciate that, because it's hard. They're high risk environments, aren't they? So anything that you can do to support them in what you're doing will be hugely beneficial. And like you say, it keeps everyone safe at the end of the day. That's what's important, isn't it? Yeah, don't want any big accidents or anything. Yeah. So it might be a bit raw, but are you thinking about any other standards down the line, or is it? That's what I said. It might be a bit raw at the moment, but is there?
Probably not right now. I think it's. We need to take a little bit of a breather. Like you mentioned, we have the SSIP through the ISOs as well. And we have got CHAS and we've got Safe Contractor, which is great for us because it takes away that little bit of administration when we're going for those accreditations. So we are currently, for a couple of our branches, doing our ROSPA submission. We've had ROSPA Gold for 3 years in a row. So this will be our 4th year if we get it. So those submissions will be going in before Christmas. So that's our next big one. And the reason we do these is because we want to excel in these areas rather than just sort of meeting compliance. And we want to, promote ourselves as being at the forefront of the industry for things like health and safety. But yeah, in terms of standards, I think we'll probably try and get the 3 that we've got working for us as best as we possibly can. And then we'll see where we're at. It'll be in a year's time.
Yeah, I thought it might be a bit soon, but
bit raw.
Yeah, I'd say a bit raw, because it is a not painful process, but it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. Yeah, it's a big commitment for everybody.
Yeah, so looks like done. Great job. Okay, is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I suppose, well, for anybody who's sort of going for these, I think, there's huge benefits. So if you're a company that's sort of sat there wondering whether you should go for them or not, do it. It's well worth it. Like we sort of talked about earlier, there's a lot of external benefits, but the internal benefits are massive. And we're just sort of on the cusp of realizing some of those at the moment. And going forward, we'll see more and more benefits coming through. It is a huge amount of work. But if you get the engagement from your team and you get people to give their input, that kind of spreads the work out a little bit. It gets people taking ownership of different things. And it's well worth it in the end. And, I think it feels like a lot initially, but once you get it all implemented, it's a case of maintaining and improving. And the work sort of comes in peaks and troughs then.
Yeah, it's a journey. I always say certification's a journey. We don't expect everything in day one, and we see that continual improvement over the years. And it's nice as an auditor to go in and we see that journey over the years. See the little improvements and things like that over the time. It's quite pleasurable, really. So that's great. How can people get in touch? Obviously, with yourself or the company itself?
So we've got a website, but you can get to us through our social media accounts as well. We're on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. In terms of getting through to me, you can always email me if you need to. I'm at hannah.frantz@bluegroup.com. But yeah, socials is a great place to get in touch with us. And we're doing a lot of development with our website at the moment. So there's going to be loads of good stuff on there, including some resources for health and safety for the sort of wider industry as well.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, it's good giving back to the community, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's bigger than just you, isn't it?
It is,
this
yeah.
whole thing.
Health and safety particularly is something that it needs to be shared.
Yeah, definitely. What we'll do is we'll put the links in the sort of the show notes anyway for people so they can connect with you and see what you're doing and tap into some of those resources as well. That'd be good. Okay. So
That's
appreciate
great.
your time. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Mike.
Yep. Good talking to you. Take care.
Thanks.